Today, I'm going to show you the first steps for building a project tracker app inside of Sigma. Start off by creating a workbook. Give our tab a proper name here. And let's save. Data Apps Fundamentals, and click Save. Create an input table, and make sure that anything we do is being written back into our Databricks. Time to give our input table a proper name, as well as set the right editing settings on the table. Every project management application needs a project name, as well as a project owner, perhaps even a project type, and most definitely a due date. So let's add all of those fields right now. We are now going to import some CSVs that contain data validation values. So let's start off by actually creating a data validation tab. Now, for the next few steps, I'm basically going to be importing CSV files that I've set aside for this tutorial. And I'm going to be ingesting each of them as a table, formatting them a little bit nicer, just make sure everything's looking nice and spiffy. And then I'm actually going to use this for my data validation rules tied to that project tracking input table that we've created previously. Now pretend that there's some elevator music playing as the screens go fast here till the next step. Time to build in some elements so that we can actually get data into our input table that serves as that project tracker. Rename our text box here. Always make sure to give your controls a proper name. It makes your life a lot easier. We're going to add two list value or list values controls, one for the project owner and one for the project type. Now, one unique thing that we're going to do for this is we're actually going to set some validation rules. So again, whenever we're writing out to that project tracker input table, we always have validated results for these fields. A little bit more time for elevator music. As you're building this, part of you will want to be organizing things so that they're looking a lot nicer. But for the sake of this part of the tutorial, we're not going to focus on that. Organizing and making everything look nicer, it's going to calm down at another time as you follow along on the tutorial that I will publish the link for. Add a date control here so that we can set the proper project due date. We got the data entry controls in place. Now let's actually create a button that we're going to use to actually take the data from those control elements into our table. Before we actually add the functionality using actions, I'm going to group all of these elements that we've created into a container, which is a type of grouping. With the container selected, let's give it a proper name for organization purposes. So this is the fun part. Let's add some functionality to that Create Project button. we will add an action so that it inserts a new row into the table that we've created whenever that Create Project button is clicked. Mapping looks great, so now let's actually test it out and create our first project. Our project has been added successfully. Ignore the little bit of housekeeping here. As you can tell, there is nothing in our script that said once you clicked on Create Project, clear the information. So now let's add an action so that when we click on Create Project, not only does it insert that information into the table, but it also clears all of our control elements afterward. You can probably see here why we've grouped all of those control elements into a container. We have to do this once instead of for each control element. Now, for our final spin, let's see what happens when we create a second project. The project is added, and all of the control fields have been cleared out. Time to save our work and publish these beginning steps of our app. Sigma has put together a great quick start guide, which if you want to build the full project management app, I encourage you to follow it along. It's going to be in the comments. Thank you so very much for watching.